All right, if you're single right now, stop scrolling. I think I just had one of the most profound thoughts I've ever had in my whole life about relationships, and I think you need to hear it. So someone asked me, because I made a video about standards and I made a video about expectations. And I'm like, well, don't standards interfere with your expectations? Because if you have standards, then you're expecting things of somebody, and it could be true, but hear me, just keep listening. The problems come when you start expecting things, and the difference between expectations and standards are with a standard, you ask somebody, you get to know them, and they give you clarity, because when you play your cards right and you're mature and you want a real relationship, you ask questions and you get to understand who they actually are, and you ask the important questions, the things that you would have as standards and expectations in a relationship. Those are the things that you get clarity on. The problem comes in when you start expecting these things that you expect them to meet your standards. That's an expectation versus asking them if they do. So if you start expecting them to show up in this way, or check this box in that way without getting the clarity from them, that's when you start creating problems in your relationship or your situationship, because they gave you no clarity. They didn't tell you that's how they behaved. You just thought they did. And a majority of problems in relationships come from you just predicting a future that doesn't exist, assuming things about a person when they didn't tell you that's how they actually are. So my best advice to you about your future relationship is expect nothing, have your standards, but you got to know the difference. The difference between expectations and standards is that you get the fucking clarity. If you want to know, what does someone do on a Friday night? What do they drink? Do they smoke? What do they do when they're sad? What do they do when they're anxious? How do they show up in a relationship when something's going on with themselves? You need to figure out how they behave by asking the right fucking questions. That way, your expectations will never get let down. So, and if you haven't had the opportunity to ask them these questions, that's why you don't expect. So you either ask and then you'll be answered, or you just stay present and you don't try to predict a future that doesn't exist. You don't try to create a character of this person. You create a little avatar of them, and they're like, oh, they're so perfect. They do X, Y, and Z. They're gonna come with me here. They're gonna meet my parents. It's gonna be magical. But that's creating a future that doesn't exist with a future person that also doesn't exist. You need to stay present, ask good questions, enjoy your own company, and don't force anything. That is how you enjoy your singleness. It's kind of fire, no? Let me know.